Used to, they got people you work with it. No. And I want to go. And then I'm make sure. He said, I'm gonna go.
You have to know how to step in all of them.
We got to go to the auditorium.
Fifth wheel in the back.
How you doing? Good,
Ice
good.
cream good enough.
How you doing?
In your hand?
You know what you do, you leave a message. Where's the corn at? Where's the kettle corn at?
They can make it. I know, they want to.
You know, Gary, navigating that website of yours is good.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it is, a lot more, you know, yeah, it's a lot more user friendly, but, Dana just redid hers too, and it's
Yeah.
actually real similar, so, yeah, really easy to find stuff now.
Drop downs are nice, but if you get,
We have a.
if you have too many selections, you can't find the right drop down. Until you use it. It's very nice. Easy.
Everybody likes the big buttons.
Shoots everything. Small.
The whole list of things that you have to file, to record, and it goes
It's the
on.
wrong time of year for that.
It was like.
Why is they didn't just give you a temporary top off?
I know things they know about it, but I mean, that's a cool picture. I couldn't even see it at first. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Like that
really.
new, all the new units, the new refrigerant, or actually flammable gas. It's a seal, I mean, it's fine, but it's
Oh, okay.
a different.
Good, good.
What you expect.
I love that.
There we go.
Like magic.
How you?
Now you got a quorum.
You got a force. Agree or disagree, what we gonna do?
Anyway, I talked to him earlier today. Take my shirt. Oh, okay. Yeah, I talked to him earlier.
Worded it about your program, and they're gonna come back and try to get it grant.
We'll make it an entrance.
Mr. Newman was closing that one.
Looking at the clock. Yeah. Do you think they'll be here or? No, I've mentioned that before though. Okay.
We're ready to get started, everyone stand, bless your lips, lips, and pray, Father, please.
Father in heaven, we thank you right now for this hour. We thank you for this opportunity. We bless your name because your name worthy to be blessed. Father, as we come now, we come to pray for those folks in Texas. We pray for the home folks that's having problems and situations and conditions. Thank you, Father, for what you've done and what you're going to do. We bless your holy name again. Father, as we go through this meeting, let us be mindful this about the people that we serve, and we do the best we can. Thank you again. These blessings and all other blessings we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome everyone to our meeting this Monday, July the 7th, 2025 at 6 p.m. We have a conference line set up. Number there is 917-900-1022. Access code is 32347#. This is not a toll-free number, and you may be subject to long-distance charges according to your long-distance plan. When the chairperson opens the meeting for public comment, please follow the below instructions. If you wish to speak, please dial *5. The moderator will unmute your line when it's your turn to speak and notify you by announcing the last 4 digits of your telephone number. Please announce your name and address. You will be allowed to speak for 3 minutes. Any person wishing to address the board regarding an agenda item will be given 3 minutes for comment. A commenter may only speak 1 time for each agenda item. With that, we'll move on to item 3 of the approval of the agenda. Did you see we had 1 item we needed to table 20, item 23?
I move.
I got a motion to approve the agenda by Commissioner Bennett, second by Commissioner Newman. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to your consent items. They're going to have a chance to go over your consent items. Is there any questions, discussion? No question, no discussion from the board. We'll take a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Newman, second by Commissioner Bennett. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving down to item 17 under bids, public hearing. The board to award bids for the demolition and new construction of 2 homes through the SHIP program and approves exceeding the arbitrary cost limits for the SHIP local housing assistance plan due to the rising cost of construction as agenda by Melody Cox.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Melody.
Hey.
We are recommending that certified roofing and construction be awarded the home of Glenda Smith in the amount of $157,740 and Alicia Cooley in the amount of $196,500. In addition, we need you to approve that we can exceed the arbitrary cost limit of the SHIP for the local housing assistance plan, which is $150,000 due to rising cost of homes. Certified roofing was the lower of the bids that we've received, so we need your approval on the arbitrary limit and then to award the project to certified.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
I think everybody has noticed that they are not waiving cousins or have any conflict on this.
I don't have any comment. Not related.
Not related, don't wave at them.
No conflict on it.
Okay, just want to make sure everybody's there.
Good. Any other questions or concerns from the board? Discussion?
I do have one more thing. I do want to let you know that one recipient will be paid we will be paying out on a 24-25 gift fund. And then the other, we were hesitant. We actually received these bids about 6 weeks ago, but we were afraid we didn't have sufficient funding because we hadn't heard on 25-26 from Florida Housing, and we are being awarded $350,000, and that's where Ms. Cooley will be awarded out of the new funding that we're receiving.
Understood. Good. Any other questions? We will take a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Moody with a second by Commissioner Dent. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Madam. Item 18, the board to receive bids for Taylor County BOCC employee insurance benefit set for this day, 6:05 PM or as soon thereafter as possible.
All right, I think we got several here. From Humana.
Back up.
Yeah.
Better watch out. Yeah. That's the case, right?
Yeah.
No.
It is though.
No.
I'm cleaning fish now, sorry.
Well, it is a serious bid.
I don't know what kind of numbers they might have. I don't see pricing here. Oh, just this. So if I'm reading this right, and there was no bid on the medical. Bid on the vision is $5.95 for employee only, $11.91 for employee spouse, $12.95 for employee child. And I don't think this is right, but it says $1,927 for family, but it's probably $1,927. For dental, it would be $23.77 a month for employee only, $47.53 for employee spouse, $61.05 for employee child, and $91.48 for employee family. And there's no bid on group term life, no bid on retiree life. Looks like all the bids on that one.
Put these in a spreadsheet and come back to us.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Chairperson, the insurance committee will meet later this week and bring a recommendation back to the board. I think we're already scheduled for, is it Thursday or Friday? Friday. Yes, sir. was sealed.
Yeah, this one's definitely sealed. This one is United Health, this is United Healthcare. Oh. I never seen one fill that before. Sure don't. So in the first plan that they've proposed, employee-only health insurance, $780.70. Employee spouse, $1,912.72 a month. Employee child, $1,452.10 a month. And family coverage is $2,349.92 a month.
Per employee?
Well, I think that's the same that they already, submitted to us, isn't it, Gary?
Yeah, it looks like it's probably the
It's a
same.
rate pass, I believe.
Like what we currently do, what we
Right.
currently pay. So they didn't bid on dental. Vision was $738 a month for employee, $1477 for employee spouse, $1562 for employee child, and $2390 for employee family. No bid on group term. And so that's all the bids on that one. This one's in two boxes, or two packages. Got it, yeah. Florida Blue. For basic life, is $1.30 a month per employee. For health insurance, for employee only is $845.37. For employee spouse is $1,927.45. Employee child is $1,690.75, and employee family, $2,705.20. And then for dental, it was $23.82 for employee only, $47.64 for employee spouse, $69.42 for employee child, and $95.64 for family. I think that's all the proposals on that one.
Mr. Clerk, for Florida, is that for basically the same plan that we have now, or we don't know yet?
We don't know yet. It's-
Yeah.
They had it on there, but yeah.
So we don't know if that's apples to apples yet.
No, we don't know that yet. This just says that there's electronic media with that proposal. This one is from MetLife. All right. So for dental, it's $21.77 for employee only, $43.55 for employee spouse, $63.44 for employee child, $87.41 for employee family. Vision is $7.29 for employee only, $14.61 for employee spouse, $15.43 for employee child, and $23.61 for employee family. Looks like that's all MetLife. We have one more. This one is from OCHS Inc. No bid on medical. No bid on dental. No bid on vision. And on the group term life, it's $881.96 a month. That's for all employees. For the life, it's $1.05 a month. That's it.
So we
So
got a,
the insurance committee will bring a recommendation back to the board, I'm assuming on the 22nd. But we can discuss during budget workshops as well.
any other questions on the board on that? Move on to, 19, the board to receive bids for Taylor County Coastal Dredging, set for this date at 6 p.m. or soon thereafter possible.
So there's only one bid for that one.
One bid?
Yep. And all these are just copies here. It's all the same bid from the same company, but the original. So the total lump sum bid price, $9,120,000. 270 days to complete. 270.
That's for Steen Hatch Yankee.
Yes, so Keaton is 7,050,000, 150 days to complete. Steinhatchee is 2,070,000, 120 days to complete.
So the
And the
big
name-
committee on
I'm
that,
sorry, the name is C&M Dredging Environmental out of Leesburg, Florida.
C&M.
C&M Dredging Environmental, Leesburg, Florida.
the big committee is Kenneth Dudley, Charlene Strowland with WSB Consultant, and Hank Evans. And, we'll have to review the available funding and some different options we may have for that. Come back to you.
So that bid was based on the criteria given.
I'm assuming, yes.
Steam hatches, spring water.
No, that is only Keaton Beach and Steinhatchee Boat Basin.
Any other questions before? So when are we looking to finalize this, the bid committee, when the bid committee gonna get on that?
Well, there are a couple of challenges as far as funding, so I'm hoping they can make a recommendation at the next meeting. But, we'll have to look at some, maybe some funding alternatives and when, and how long we have with the current funding through, FDM for dredging.
What's the funding amount we have on that?
I believe about 5 million.
Much lower than the bid amount, for sure. Okay.
But we may have some options, so
All right, so we're going to hospital item 20. Lauren Clark, DMH CEO, to discuss Taylor's promise and mobile program.
I know Commissioner Fiegel had asked me to give a report, and unfortunately, she's not here. Hopefully, we're recording this so she can watch it. I do have a guest with me, Jill Hodges. I'm gonna ask her to pop up in just a second. She's with Appalachian Center because they're the real experts. But in your packet, it's just some information. There's a flow of the funding, just for anybody who's not aware, to show how it goes through many layers, from Department of Children and Families to Northwest Florida Health, who's the managing entity, to the counties. And I know we had a committee probably 2 years ago, and this money was kind of sitting, and no one had really stepped up to do anything with it. So as a hospital, we feel like that's our responsibility, so we did. But we are not the experts, so we brought experts together. And this grant's really about collaboration. So we're partnering with Appalachia and TMH Behavioral Health to provide services. There is much more money needed than this little pot of money gives to this county for opioid addiction treatment and training and intervention. But what we can do is add value to people that are already doing this hard work. So that's what we've done. Collaboratively, we came up with a campaign called Taylor's Promise, letting people know there is hope. We do have a vehicle that has the 800 number with a mobile response team, which I'll let Jill talk about. But this is a 24/7, 800 number. People can call and get help wherever they are. Help can come to them. Unfortunately, we often see people at the end or the height of their opioid addiction when they most need help. And so we can make those referrals and really partner with our partners to make sure they get what they need. We also, through our partnership with TMH, have 24/7 access to psychiatry. If we need to have examinations done in the ER, we can do that through telemedicine. So we're not putting somebody in a crisis in a police car or an ambulance and transporting them to another county. They can get that right here at DMH through telemedicine. So that's part of this agreement as well. On August 20th, we're doing training with all of our physicians, local physicians, on medical assisted treatment. And so a psychiatrist from TMH is going to be training on how we can use medication to treat people and get them out of addiction. And we're also going to be doing a big marketing campaign, so people are aware of the resources that are out there. In your document, a list of all the services Appalachia Center has provided. This is just in 6 months. This is a lot of people getting a lot of help, and this money is going to help supplant the services for those who do not have insurance or means to pay for the services. We're making sure they can get them. So we have subcontracted that money to Appalachia. They can get the outpatient programs they often need. There's always there's services for people who need to be hospitalized, but once they get out of the hospital, that's where it falls apart. They often can't access those outpatient services that they need. So you can see some of the numbers on there. We're hoping to keep growing those numbers as we refer people who need help. They have a great peer counseling kind of program where people can talk to people who've been where they are. And so that's really the value that Appalachia and TMH bring to the table. But Jill, if you want to come up. Jill is the Director of Outpatient Services for Appalachia for 8 counties, including Taylor.
Good afternoon. So Appalachia Center, we provide medication-assisted treatment in our outpatient program here in Taylor County. We have a nurse practitioner who prescribes medication to help those recover from opioid disorders and also alcohol. We do provide the substance use counseling. We provide peer specialist services as well, and case management. It's all very important to look at the client as a whole, and we partner with Dr. Memorial to provide that care and physical health. So.
She was super excited about getting in front of you. I made her come with me to the experts in case Commissioner Figel had any questions, but I will tell you it's working. In small towns, we have to partner together because there's not enough resources to go around. So we know our part, we know what their part of the system is, and it's working very well. We also do have the van that we can transport people if they need to get to Appalachia or get to those appointments because we know there's a real lack of transportation. But on a side note, I just wanted to take this opportunity real quick to introduce Charles Barnard. So you can make a face with a name. He is our Survival Flight EMS Regional Director. As you know, we started doing interfacility transports, and I know that's the next agenda item, but July 1st, and it's working great, so I just want to make sure you put a face with the name. But do you all have any questions for me?
Any questions?
Well, I'll tell Commissioner Figel.
Thank you, Mark. Right. Go to public request, Greg Melvin, Specialized Event Services LLC, to discuss certificate of public convenience and necessity for private advanced life support ambulance service.
Good morning, afternoon. I've been a paramedic and critical care paramedic for a while, and over the past year or so, I've been helping out with facility correction special events here in the county as well as other counties. I have my own ambulance service up and running, full state license. I want to continue that. Right now, I know Single Flight has just come on board, but I've been doing it for a while, helping out with interfacility coming out of hospital. I'm not here to replace anybody. That's not my goal. My goal is to be part of and be another alternative should that happen. I've been called out of the hospital several times to take patients out and stuff of that nature. So I just need that COPC in so we can cut red tape and so we can transport patients or loved ones that need to go from our current facility to another facility. And when we have special events within the county, I can take care of those special events with a ALS transport service if need be. And it also gives a little bit of diversity. You have somebody to choose from. That's what I think the board is to get that COPC.
The only question I have is our current contract with Century is for, so they provide the 911 transportation or ALS.
Correct.
And then the BLS or the interfacility transportation, I don't think is an issue. And I'm not even 100% sure at this point that every provider needs a COPCN, but I don't think it's a bad idea. My only question, and I may need Conrad's help with this, if this is outside of our contractual agreement that we currently have with our 911 provider. Because are you asking if there is a 911 call from a special event that your company do the transportation instead of Century? I'm not sure how that works.
Back it up for you for a second. You have ALS and BLS. Most interfacility transports is advanced life support because they're on cardiac monitoring, medications, things of that nature.
Okay.
That's ALS transport from hospital to hospital, that nature. BLS is just basic life support, which is somebody needing a Band-Aid, not belittling EMTs or like that, but there is a huge difference in it. That's why I'm advanced life support. I carry the cardiac monitors, the drugs, and things of that nature. If we're at a special event, let's use the mud bogs or any type of event going on in the county, they can call. Luanda Peter can call me up and say, hey, I got a special event. I want you to provide EMS service at my facility.
Yeah.
Okay. We can go out there. I don't need a COPCN for that. However, this is where that comes in at. Survival Flight might have 5 trucks here, Century might have whatever trucks they have here. But if there were no trucks available and you're having a cardiac event, not being rude, you're SOL. I can't transport that property even though I have everything I need to transport. So a COPCN allows me to transport off that property if I'm at that special event. I'm not here to take a 911 call from Taylor County. Now, if Taylor County calls and say, hey, I'm out of ambulances, can you bring ambulance online? I do it with other counties as well. And because I do special events for other counties, and I have a COPCN for a neighboring county. If any county calls me up and says they need an ambulance for whatever reason, 911 or otherwise, and I got a crew and a truck up, we're headed that way because we're going to do that. All I need is I'm seeking this for that COPCN. That's so if I'm at the mud box and there's something goes, I'm using that as an example, or at any event like at Fiddler Fest, whatever they need an ambulance therefore on standby, I can provide those services. Because let's be honest, if you or any of your loved ones is having a medical emergency there, and I'm there as the provider of your 911 service, but I can't put you in my boo-boo bus and take you down the street to the hospital because I'm waiting for somebody to come out of Perry, or if I'm in another part of the county and your transport's coming out of St. Hatchie, you're going to look at me and say, what's going on? So I'm trying to fulfill that need. I'm not trying to take over Survival Flight. I can't beat them if I wanted to. They're a huge conglomeration from out of town. I'm in town. I'm local. I've been here. And I'm just trying. Plus, all my staff is Taylor County people. All the equipment I buy puts this money back in your pocket for the taxes. I don't know Survival Flight, and I don't. It's what they are. But where are they buying all their stuff from? So if they buy it out of county, guess what? That taxes that is going. I'm trying to keep everything local. I can't beat them. I can't even underbid them. However, I'm trying to give the people of this county business another alternative. So if I am there, let's utilize me. I don't cost the county a dime. My people don't cost you a dime. I carry every insurance there is imaginable should things go wrong. So I'm just trying to be a part of the solution, because right now, the solution is horrible. Right now, I get calls quite often. My truck's other places. And if I get a COPCN, I'll be happy to bring another truck on. I've already went to the hospital once, had a sit-down meeting with them. They said, we can't put a truck here because every got a COPCN. But it's amazing that Survival Flight shows up and they get COPCN do the exact same thing. And I've already been begging on that wall for months. It's amazing how that happened. So I'm just trying to be a cog to help fix this wheel and make sure we keep going so we can give the citizens of the county accurate and good advanced life support transport if the case needs to be. That's all I'm trying to do.
So, and I'm not trying to confuse ALS, but I'm just asking about the 911 calls.
If I am not here to take a 911 call,
Okay.
but if Taylor County calls me and said, hey, we are out of ambulances,
Yeah.
absolutely, I'm coming to you. My CPN will be very limited for special events and interfacility transport.
Right.
That's all I'm asking for.
I think part of the confusion on that, though, is based off of our contract with our current provider, that we need to make sure it doesn't conflict with that, because we don't want them to come back and say, those calls at the mud bog are 911 calls.
I can say that from dispatch's point of view, when it's done like that, Century is always asked, do you have a truck or you want somebody else to do the transport? If they don't have a unit, they'll usually just ask you to go ahead and do it.
At the last mud
They're
bog.
not trying to take Century's business. They're
No,
just,
I'm just concerned about
and we ask Century if they have permission to transport it.
Now, I'm just going to use, let's do the elephant in the room. If this young man has anything to do with survival of life, and I'm out there and they don't want me to transport, that's fine. Absolutely. But end of the day, I want you to put yourself in that family member's place, because I can go out there and provide medical care at that facility all day long, twice on Sunday. But I want you to put yourself in that family member's place. You're having a heart attack, you're bleeding out, whatever the case may be.
This isn't about me.
No, I just want you to put yourself in that family member's place. Well, I'm gonna have ambulance come out of St. Hatchie. I'm already there. Because and I don't have to see PCN for that, I can just do it. But it's nice if I can just say, hey, I'm here. And if we have an emergency out there, they want me to call, so you want me to transport, we can make that work. I'm just trying to fix the problem that we have had in the years and try and fix this going forward. Because we worry about, well, where contractual needs with Century, let's be blunt. The contract already says primary, they got one. So why can't I get one? If we're doing the elephant in the room, I mean, that's
I
what
don't
it
have
is.
an issue
So,
with, yeah,
but it
my
keeps
only
getting brought up.
concern is just the 911 calls, how those, and only because of our contract with Century, because my understanding is Survival Flight does not transport any 911.
Well,
Right?
I mean, our contract, we have a contract for 911.
Right.
Our primary call is Century.
Yes.
So we would call Century. Century needs to reach out to these guys, not us, right? I mean, if they don't have a truck, then they might need to reach out to
I don't
these
know
guys,
how
not
that-
us. I mean, if we do a COPCN, but we don't need to get dispatched and say, oh, they can't do it, let's call these guys. I mean, if our primary call is Century, then Century should have to make the next call if they can't service it.
So what would happen, Mr. English, is that Century would tell our dispatch, hey, we're out of trucks. Is there anybody else in town? Can y'all make the call? Because if they're busy on a medical emergency, they're not gonna have time to make that call either. So then our dispatcher would call the next, if it's Survival Flight, if it's Specialty Event Services, if it's, I don't know, ABC Ambulance Service out of, wherever. But our dispatchers will make that call for them. They'll go down the call list for them.
I'm not here to take the 911 call. If you call for 911, I'm not here for that. I'm here, should be a special event.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm just talking if we could just not getting ourselves in any trouble. I mean, I don't have no problem with an extra added service, I don't think. I mean, that would only be, maybe that would probably could benefit in the long run, but and maybe cut out some of the issues that we may have had in the past. But I just don't know, is there any conflict?
I think technically, if you're saying Century's your primary unit in this county and they have the primary response, they have the primary response for everything, which means technically, everybody's supposed to get Century's permission to transport that patient. They have the first right of refusal, basically, for anything that happens in this county if they're the primary responder.
I think with the current contract, but the Century contract, I think they do not use 911 trucks for inter-facility transfers. They only use 911 trucks for something that's an emergency or emergent. So my understanding, and y'all jump in, if with Survival Flight, when that COPCN was granted, it was only for inter-facility transfer or any type of, like if there's a mass casualty or something like that, then they could provide, support services for that. But I'm not aware of any allowance with our COPCN for them to take 911 calls. And I'm just calling any type of.
That's what I'm saying, I'm not
Right.
here for 911, I'm
Right.
asking for the IFT and the special events.
Okay, so.
And if we're at a special event and there's an emergency go down,
Right.
we will call 911, remember my staff or I,
Right.
whoever's there, we'll call 911 and say, hey, we have XYZ problem going on. At that point in time, Century can say, you transport it or we will have a truck to you. And that's how it's normally is. Last the times we've been out there, they've asked us on the front end of it, hey, if you get something, you just go ahead and take it, because we're already there, we already started the patient care, we're done, because we've been hired to come do that. But it's just nice to be able to say that we have your loved one in the back of my ambulance, because we're already started the patient care, to go ahead and transport on. But we're more than happy to go ahead and call 911 and let Century or whoever the primary person is to say, hey, we're en route to you, or you go on transport to the facility. And then also, on the backside of this here, let's say it is a trauma alert, STEMI alert, or a major emergency, we're taking one of your 911 trucks out of service, taking them to Gainesville, Tallahassee, whatever the appropriate facility is, if the helicopter is not available. Now your truck's out of service, we're already there. But that is that primary person's, at this point in the century, to say if they want to call or us go and transport it. We're happy to do that. But I'm just trying to fix the problem and bridge that gap. That's all I'm trying to do.
So in the event Century could not respond, well, Mr. Bishop, you had something, go ahead, Mr. Bishop.
Well, of course, I think we need to hear from Century. You know, they should have the opportunity to come in and tell us what their position is with regard to their contract.
If you don't, excuse me, don't special event, then grant me a state, the state of the CFP and that, so I will apply to ask.
And that would be contingent on Century's agreement with what's already in place. Is
So
that clear, Mr. Bishop? So why don't we table this until we can get that input?
So my question is, Greg, are you just asking for right now, until we get the special event questions answered? You're just asking for a COPCN for interfacility transportation until we can get the rest of it resolved?
Correct, because I can just, because right, they're calling, but right now they have several other flights there, which I'll dig into that later. However, right now, if I get the IFT for the interfacility, it'd be great.
And that would be from hospital to hospital, nursing home to
Whatever
whatever,
hospital called
right?
me for.
Okay.
But with that being said, I can't come all the way in to do a $25 transfer from hospital to nursing home. I can't, because I don't have 24-hour crews, which I wanted to do last time I wanted to be here, because they're already there doing it. So I tried that once before, and I was told no.
Okay.
So that's the whole thing, I'm trying to figure out.
But you would have the possibility for nursing home transportation if you had a truck available?
Yes.
So are you asking for that now? And
let's go ahead and get the ball rolling so I can do that without having to make 20 phone calls, which we're having to do now. But the thing is, I don't mind making the phone calls. Absolutely, I don't mind. Right now, it's a carte blanche because Century has nobody available. They're coming out of Lake City or whatever.
For IFTs, yes, sir. No, and I think that's a great option for IFTs. I mean, the more the merrier.
And push from a shove, I'll just keep doing my special events in the county. If someone has a boo-boo, we'll call 911 and tie another truck up. I think that's because either way, I'm here. You know.
Are we needing to get with Century?
I think what he's asking for is if you will grant a COPCN only for IFTs until we dig into the whole special event coverage, and the attorney can review the contract, and we can talk to Century and just see if there are any ramifications, strictly from a contractual.
And
I understand what you're saying.
But also understand that if any entity or person hires my service to come provide service for them to be on-site medical, I'm still going to do that. If they have a boo-boo, I'm going to call 911.
Oh, sure. No,
That's still there.
I don't think that's an issue. It's just we've got to dig into the 911 calls.
Right, because if they can have the same thing for natural disasters, man-made, all this other stuff, I want one too. Because I've already.
I think we could just
we would just need to bring it
issue the same type of COPCN and then
draft one up for the next board meeting.
Once we get the answers as far as our contract and how our responsibilities as far as the contract.
The inter-facility transfer to BCN.
Yes, sir. I think that's what he's requesting.
I would suggest the board instruct staff to draft a COPCN for interfacility transfers similar to survival flights for us to bring back at the next board meeting for your approval.
Any questions from the board?
Now, let's follow that. You with survival flight, who are you with?
Survival flight, yes, sir.
And you have a contract with who? Who you contract with?
Doctors Memorial Hospital.
We have an MOU. It's not, there's no cost, it's just an agreement because they're based in our facility, clarifying who does what and all of that. So they do have an MOU with us.
Just for IFTs.
Just for
You want an MOU too? Is that what you want?
I've already
We have
asked
two
them,
based at the hospital.
First Hospital several months ago, and they were all game for it, but we couldn't get a CUPCN because they've been denied multiple times based on what we're talking about today. So that's where we were, and that's the reason why we need to figure out who, what, when, where, and why, because just, I'm sorry, sir. So the thing of it is, how did all this commingle in? And that's something that I'll be digging into very deeply. Because it's amazing. When I've already offered to put a truck there 24/7, 365, they couldn't based on, now they can, there's something there, and it is public record, and I will be digging.
So, Mr. Chairperson, but I'm sorry, we're having a sidebar conversation. If staff can draft the COPCN that's basically the same as what the board approved for survival flight, which is only interfacility transfer, and right. I mean, would there be an issue asking the chairperson to sign it prior to the next meeting, or do we need to have that hard copy before the board?
Hard copy.
Okay. We'll bring it back, and maybe by then we'll have some answers from Century. Okay. Just instruct staff to prepare the COPCN and have it on the next agenda.
You got a question from the board? We have a motion. You need a motion for it?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'll get item 22. The board to continue discussion regarding tree removal for trees located near the Perry Garden.
After the last board meeting, I did contact staff at County Extension, who contacted our county forester and did another survey of the trees at the garden club. And since, I think, I've lost track of time, maybe January is when he looked previously, December, January, there are actually more trees that have beetle damage. So we got new quotes for a removal of 10 trees. And then we also had updated quotes for the 17 trees. So basically it's the difference of the quotes for the 9 trees, $5,000, and quotes for 17 trees, $8,500. So and it's the will of the board. If you want all the trees removed, I'll need to ask for funding for that, or if you just want the damaged trees removed, it's the difference between 10 and 17 trees.
Mr. Chairman, given the issues that we continue to see with the beetles in our pine trees, it's a matter of time before they find their way to the remaining 7 trees, which could equal another visit from a tree surgeon or someone else. So it seems to me like it may be in the best interest to go ahead and remove those trees so that they're not a greater risk to the building or another liability should mortality get problem.
Make a motion to remove those.
Yeah, if there's no more discussion.
I looked at it, there's 17 trees near the building that happened. Now, what about those outside of that? We'll deal with it as it comes.
I think what the garden club would like is all 17 trees removed, and the price difference is only $3,500 to just go ahead and remove all of them.
Yeah, no problem.
We have a motion to approve.
Yeah, remove 17 trees.
And the funding from the general fund reserve.
Yes, I believe that would be the truth.
We got a motion to remove the 17 trees. We got a second.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Moody, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right, next item is the table. We're gonna move on to item 24, constitutional officers of governmental units. The board to consider the appointment of 2 regular members, 1 alternate member, and 1 citizen appointment of the 2025 Value Adjustment Board, and to appoint the chairman. Like a second.
Yeah, so, like we do every year, we need a chairperson and an alternate. A chairperson, another member, an alternate member, and 1 citizen. That citizen has to be that's the own property of Taylor County.
Who was the citizen last year, was it?
Mr. Wallace Holmes, and he has agreed to do it again if that's who you guys wish to do.
We need 2 members from the board here.
Yeah, we need a chair, another member, and then an alternate member, so there's really 3. The alternate member won't have to do anything unless one of the others can't serve.
Volunteers?
I don't want to.
I'm here. You say you want to
I said I didn't mind serving.
do what?
I don't mind serving at all.
No, I don't mind being, if he's not there, I can take it.
You got 3. Need it.
We need 3.
Yeah.
So we need another board member.
Commissioner Newman, are you willing to be the chair?
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Just finished his eyes, but he just, no pressure.
No.
So then we need another, are you gonna be the alternate, or you wanna be?
Alternate.
Right.
Well, there's a down, Mr. Chairman.
We need one more regular member from the board.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
All
I'm
right.
going down like serving now.
All right, then we got, Mr. Wallace Holmes as a citizen has agreed to continue service.
Okay.
If everyone's okay. So, we need a motion to approve all these?
Yeah, I'll move.
One motion to give along. We have a motion by Commissioner Demps for Commissioner Newman to serve as the chair of the Value Adjustment Board. Commissioner Demps be a regular member, Commissioner Moody is an alternate, and citizen Mr. Wallace Holmes continue his service on the Value Adjustment Board. You have a second? You made a motion.
And a second from Mr. Dale.
Hey. Second. Second by Commissioner Moody, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
So we'll be contacting you guys and letting you know when the audit gets started, which will be probably in September.
All right, we'll move on to, county staff item item 25. The board to consider approval of change order number 1 in the amount of $36,740 for an additional bedroom that has been determined to be medically necessary to the demolition new construction home of Christine and Robert Hutter through the HARP program as agented by Madeline Cox.
Hey, everybody. We are requesting approval of the additional $36,740 for an additional bedroom to be constructed in the Hutter home. We typically, if the children are the same sex, we typically build 1 bedroom, so they were getting a 2-bedroom, 1-bath home. But one of the children has a medical problem, and we have had that documented by appropriate medical professionals. So we are requesting this increase of $36,740, which puts their home at a total cost of $221,540. It is all 100% grant funded with an HHRP Hurricane Agility Grant.
Good. Any questions from the board? question, we, have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second by Commissioner Dance, all in favor? All right, thank you, Melanie. Don't get too far. We'll go on to, item
I ain't got a lot to do.
Item 26, the board to review and consider approval of closing documents and invoice for the acquisition of the 3.95 acre site known as Spring Warrior, presented by Melanie Cox.
Did you ever think we would get to this point? It's been a long time coming on Spring Warrior. We're asking for approval on closing documents for the acquisition of this 3.95 acre site. These documents have been approved by Balmoral Group, and we are ready to move forward with approval. We are required to submit within 30 days a long-term management plan site, and we are already working on that. So we need your approval to move forward. The grant will fund $435,000 of the acquisition. The county has approved funding $115,000, which is the amount over appraised value. The closing costs are an amount of $3,467, and that will be funded with the grant. But with your approval, I think Mr. Conrad has reviewed the documents, so we are finally ready to wrap this thing up with your approval.
I did get the closing statement. I did get, what else did I get today? You have my email that I sent to you?
Yes, the, everything, the deeds, right? The
Right,
general warranty deed?
and
Yes.
also the affidavit.
Yes.
The county affidavit. I'm assuming that, did you get a hold of Laura with regard to the title policy?
It will be issued upon closing.
Upon closing, okay.
Yes.
So that's where it's at. And of course, there's been a survey a long time, had the survey for too long, really, anyway. You know,
It's been quite the process.
yeah, it's been a real.
Yes, we completed the survey, the environmental assessment, the appraisal, and the appraisal review. All of this have been completed and all were approved by Balmoral and Treasury.
Any questions or discussion from the board?
Melanie, was the survey matched up with what the county was showing?
Yes, we did get that amended to show what the county was showing, so we are good to go on that. All of the documents match, and as I said, it was approved by Balmoral. And I want to let you know, Commissioner Moody, I thought of you every step of the way on this. Every time they wanted something new, I thought of you. I told Ms. LaWanda I thought of you because you wanted this property for so long, and I hope you go home and celebrate tonight.
Thank you.
You are welcome. You've been in my heart every step of the way on this.
Okay.
She only knew the history of that property. Old timers know the history of that property.
There's no other discussion from the board, we'll obtain a motion to approve. Motion. Motion by Commissioner Lewis, we have a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Moody, all in favor? All right, we'll move to item 27. The board to discuss upcoming funding cycle for the Florida Commerce Office of Long-Term Resiliency Community Development Block Grants Disaster Recovery funding for 2023-2024 storms and potential projects. This is Melanie Cox.
Well, as you know, we've discussed this previously prior to the state setting. All the rules and regulations have now been set. The funding cycle is getting ready to open. The state received $400 million for this program, with $25 million of that going into the HMDP match. 15% of that will be used for mitigation projects. I know it sounds like a lot of money, but there are 47 counties all competing for this funding. So actually, we need to select very good projects and be very competitive to be awarded these funds, which I think we can pull it off. We are designated as a priority county due to being our demographics and having damage from both storms. These projects do need to be tied directly back to Hurricane Idalia or Helene, or they go in that much smaller pot of money that is just for mitigation projects. So hopefully, many of our projects are for that recovery. I know we've discussed dredging, and as you can see, we are very short on our dredging fund, so I would recommend that. I know Turner Road has been discussed. I know there's a road at Steenhutchee that's been discussed. Ms. Luana and I talked about a couple projects today, and I don't know if she wants to address those. And also, I know the Historical Society was going to appear tonight for that grant in reference to damage the historical building had during the storm. I don't know if you want to consider that now, since it is a county-owned facility. That might be something to keep in mind. But I think, you know, we definitely want to pursue the projects that I mentioned. These grants must meet federal guidelines. We will have to follow all of the federal requirements. So we need to be clear and keep that in mind. We also are required to document how they are tied back to Idalia and Helene. And I know some of those projects we can do that. So I'm ready for y'all to direct me on what you would like to move forward with.
I have a question. So, Melody, if I could ask, this funding is in addition to the housing repair and replacement program, correct?
Yes, this does not, there's another division of funding that's coming out that is housing repair that we will not be administering. The people will be contacting the people at Florida Commerce directly. This is not tied to anything to do with housing.
So this 400 million is in addition to, it looks like 434 million that's allocated. Is that correct? So in other words, there's two different.
It is the 4 million, and 4 million that's been set aside, and then 25 million was set aside for HMPG funding. So it is not in addition, it is all the same pot, it's just how they broke it out now.
I see. But there is an allocation specifically for housing.
It's a direct housing program, yes, and
Yes.
so we would
Yes,
not.
it is.
Yeah, it would not.
They will be applying directly to Florida Commerce, they will not be going through us.
I see.
And if you have, you know, anyone that you know needs assistance with that, feel free to give me a call, and I'll reach out to those people and direct them to the right personnel at Florida Commerce, which they are going to do pre-apps for the individual homeowners and assist them with that, and then help them down the road with the actual application. But, you know, feel free to give them my contact information, and I'm more than willing to help any homeowner.
But any projects for infrastructure will not be in competition with any of these funds for housing.
No.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, in addition to some of the roads that Melody mentioned, we may want to consider mitigation for some of our evacuation routes. And I know that Jody Morgan Road comes up continually as far as, you know, we may want to take a look at that and tie that, right.
And the population's growing there, so that means more urgency.
And that's not right. That's not the only road, but I think we could tie back with maintenance records as far as storm activity. Also, supplemental funding for the dredging, supplemental funding, Dan just texted me, for completing fire stations where we do not have sufficient funding. We may, Melody, do you think that would be applicable activities? for eligible activities? If we have partial funding for fire stations?
Well, on the fire stations, it will burn into mitigation, not disaster recovery, because we're constructing new fire stations and not repairing existing fire stations. Now, with that said, we could probably, say Keaton is, more like disaster recovery, but I think any fire stations would get thrown into mitigation. And we can apply for mitigation. We have strong mitigation grants because we do actually have a match for those and have a game plan for them. So they would make strong mitigation, but I'm certain they would be thrown into that pot. I would say, any projects that we want to do, we should feel free to, whether it is mitigation or disaster recovery. I'm just saying our best chances to be competitive is going to be in that disaster recovery because there is substantially more money. But I encourage you, what fire stations was, yes, let's ask for that additional money. Do we think we need to ask for additional funds for the public safety complex?
Yeah, that may be, well, possibly, for mitigation, maybe for that, for hardening or for sheltering. That is, I think, one of the missing pieces as far as the public safety complex where we may not have sufficient funding.
Okay. Of course, we can go on and we need to start these public hearings on we have to have a public hearing on each individual project. So, we can go ahead and have a public hearing, and that doesn't necessarily mean we have to submit a grant application.
Do we have to have separate, could we maybe combine all of our road projects into one public hearing, or is each one of those a separate grant application?
During the webinar, it said separate. I would recommend separate just so that we have because they have to be uploaded separately, and we have to do a pre-app on each project. I would recommend an individual, back-to-back public hearings just so that we have it clean and concise what we're turning in.
If I could, certainly we need to see through the dredging, whether that is in addition to what bid came in this evening, or if there's another option, by all means. But we have these areas that are continuing to deal with the silt and the erosion from all these, well, 3 of these storms really, but certainly from Idalia and Helene. So I think, we need to see it through in completing the dredging at Dock Island, Cedar Island, and Eagle Beach for sure.
Well, remember
in
that.
addition to the projects that are designed.
Right. So Melody, do we know the timeline for grant award and then grant expenditure? Because we know that.
At this point, they're saying grant award will be in January of 2026. They're saying a pretty quick turnaround. Personally, I know that's their goal. I would say probably, don't hold your breath on that. The state does move quicker than, the feds have been, and Department of Treasury. But to be safe, I would say you're probably looking at February 2026. But again, that's not that far away. It's going to move along quicker than any Restore Act grants we could submit.
I did want to mention in reference to the dredging, it's my understanding the criteria that was bid was based on hydrographics from 2022. We've had 2 major hurricanes come through. It's also my understanding that there's some new hydrographics, updated hydrographics, the data is probably better than double than what 2022
Right.
showing.
Right.
So I would think that I would be prepared for more than what we just saw opened up today.
That's possible.
I mean, just, it's gonna happen. I mean, if we, one of the locations was 17,000, what, cubic yards or whatever. I mean, when they're gonna know when they got 17,000 yards done, and then what?
Well, that's why we asked them to bid. I don't think we made it clear that the hydrographics were from 2022. So they could provide they could get their own updated hydrographic and bid accordingly, but I understand what
I
you're
don't think
saying.
it was required for them. I don't think you sent a bid out, so we have to give us updated. We probably should have given updated hydrographics ourselves.
I don't even know what the cost for that is, but I can check.
I'm just saying, it would be our due diligence to give, I would think, to give updated numbers versus something that's prior to two major hurricanes, and then we're not bidding good data. I mean, we're really not. So, I just don't want the job to get halfway done, and then we've gotten what we're getting paid for, now what do you want us to do? And they got a bunch of equipment sitting there. So, somebody's gonna have to be thinking it through as the bid committee opens up those discussions.
I'm sure they will.
Well, and Ms. Lawanda and I spoke with WSE on this particular grant and the dredging, and because we knew we did not have funding, we knew we didn't have sufficient funding for Cedar Island, Dark Island, Deacle, and Spring Warrior.
No.
We knew we didn't have that funding, but we thought we would be okay on Steinhatchee, and obviously not. So I think we're looking, Ms. Lawanda and I thought maybe $5 million might work on this grant, and I'm thinking we're looking at more than double of that to ask for in this grant.
Yes.
Because
the numbers I'm referring to mainly is just what's in the bid and keeping and seeing that. So.
Right. So I think we're probably looking at requesting funding assistance, well over $12 million with this grant. It's just on what I heard tonight and our past discussions, I think we're looking at considerably.
I would say I would recommend, and the clerk may have it, I would recommend getting with Lawanda and maybe the clerk and looking to see if you can get your hands on that most recent hydrographic. Yeah.
We'll do that. We will do that.
I believe it's.
We have to submit a valid budget with this grant, and that's why we had asked Ms. Charlene, because we're going to need documentation from a firm like that for this grant application, for the pre-application. So we will be reaching out, and we'll get a hold of that, because we want to make sure, we are submitting a request for as much or more than for what we know we're going to need.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, and also Melody, we have not started discussions with USACE yet regarding the federal funding. And I know Steinhatchee was included in that budget, and it's possible. I think we just need to clarify with USACE what areas they will be dredging in Steinhatchee versus what we know is in our scope of work, and that may offer some relief as well.
Right.
Okay.
Do you need more information with respect to roads? I know Turner Road was mentioned in that. Do we anticipate the survey information and design indicator as to what that is going to cost?
We do not have that yet. I'll see where we are in that process. I know the survey was completed.
Sure.
But I will, there's also right-of-way acquisition with that project.
Well, that may be possible, I think, in some of this funding also. So,
Correct. Acquisition money is an eligible activity if it is needed, to complete one of the projects. Acquisition is fundable. I actually looked that up today because I thought that might come into play on some of the projects, and it is an eligible activity.
By all means, emergency evacuation routes, I think those certainly qualify.
Right. Well, and again, the road that comes to mind is Jody Morgan, because that's a secondary evacuation route. And I think that, and again, we may be able to provide data as far as maintenance, yeah.
Please.
And I'm a little unclear. I know there was a street road in Steenhatchee we discussed that had some damage.
Yeah, so a number of the areas in 4th and 5th Avenue.
Right, that's what I had.
4th and 5th?
4th and 5th.
I mean, it's because of the amount of water that came in there, so, and then the damage that, we've had gotten to and repaired, and some of that we're working to get to.
Right.
So,
Okay.
absolutely.
So we have dredging, Turner Road, 4th and 5th, in Steenhatchee. The Historical Society, Melody, I'll talk to you about that. We're still looking for for some FEMA reports as far as, how to tie that back to storm damage. We know the balance of the funding for the fire stations and Jody Morgan.
Well, and you may also consider the streets down at Deagle Beach, Cedar Island, the damage because of those roads being inundated, and then all the debris that's been removed and tons that's went across there, which have very significantly led to the degradation of those roads.
So Deagle Beach Road, Cedar Island Road, and Dark Island.
Dark Island is on the
It's
DOT
on
Scott service. So if it's eligible, I'm not jumping in the way there, but I do think, there is down King Beach, Marina Road, that will overtop. And then all those loads of debris that have led to the aging, let's say, for lack of terms, it's just road degradation.
So are you talking, are you talking about paving or resurfacing or both?
I would think that would probably be the best solution. Paving? Yes, sir. Those are roads that are paved, so resurfacing.
Resurfacing.
Yes.
Okay. Except for Jody Morgan.
Right, well, it's paved lime rock, but we prefer asphalt. We want to expedite the evacuation route process.
You get that, Melody?
Yes, and I will get with you tomorrow to make sure I wrote down all the correct information.
We have to submit our projects ahead of time, so we're just trying to make sure that we have an accurate list. Okay.
Item 28, the board to review and approve the release for bid manual runway 12-30 rehab, release for bid drawing runway 12-30, rehab and task order 8 with Avcon Incorporated for the runway rehab at Perry Foley Airport, agenda by Melody Thomas.
We have received an SDMT grant in an amount of $3,525,321 for the rehab of runway 1230. It is not FAA eligible because it's our secondary runway and only our primary runway is eligible. We are requesting approval to go out for bids on this runway rehab and approval of task order 8 with Avcon in the amount of $298,080 for project, the design, engineering, project management, and oversight of this project. The project will be 100% grant funded.
Question? Have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Okay, Motion by Commissioner Dent, second. Commissioner Moody, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move to item 29, the board to consider approval to obtain outside legal counsel to represent the county for the honor of Robin Paul due to the county attorney having a conflict of interest as presented by Melanie Cox.
On ship homes, the recipient signs a lien. In the event they are deceased, a family member can reside in the home as long as they pay us whatever the prorated amount is, which is due to us, which is, it's prorated over the term of the lien by years, or they are required to qualify as low to moderate income. Ms. Powell passed away. Her father is residing in the home. He had indicated the prorated amount, which is due, is $34,375.78. He had indicated to us that he did want to keep the home and would reimburse the county in that amount. When we called him to follow up on it, he indicated that he would not be paying it back. He had obtained legal counsel, which is Sonny Bishop through Mr. Bishop's office. So we are requesting board approval to get outside legal counsel to assist us with this.
Okay. Any questions? Have a motion.
And we've had this happen numerous times, and the family has either qualified. Usually they pay us back the prorated amount, and it goes directly back into the SHIP program. So this is really a first for us to be pursuing it legally.
Got it. Good. No other questions?
Basic
Motion to
compliment.
approve.
Mr. Chairperson, I guess we need some additional guidance as far as whom to reach out to. Should we obtain quotes from, local attorneys, or I know that we use the Madison County attorney from time to time for backup when we need assistance, or do we just need to get quotes?
Then you can just wait and see what happens, and then you determine whether you need an attorney. I can't help, but.
Okay.
Follow.
Yes, sir.
Don't jump in the lake yet.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So, all right, we, a motion to approve, move forward.
Motion.
Motion, second by Commissioner Dent, all in favor? All right, we're on to item 30, the board to review and consider approval of ALW Architect Standard Form of Agreement between the owner and architect, attachments D, Exhibit B, federal provisions, and ALW scope of work and fees for professional services for the Dr. Memorial Hospital roofing project presented by Melanie Cox.
We are requesting approval of the standard form of agreement, attachment B, and ALW scope of work for the professional services for the Doctors Memorial Roofing Project. The fees are $203,515. They are 100% grant funded. They have been approved by Florida Commerce for us to move forward. I know Mr. Conrad reviewed the contract, and I think we are good to move forward. The entire project will be 100% grant funded, so we are covered with everything on that. The board had received bids. ALW was awarded the bid. They had the highest score of 373 points on the 400. So we are asking your approval to move forward with this contract.
No questions or discussion from the board, we'll take a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Dent, second by Commissioner Moody, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you all for everything tonight.
Thank you. All right, we'll move over to our county administrator items, county administrator to discuss informational items.
Just to reiterate to the board, all of our budgeted projects were not vetoed by Governor DeSantis. We're very appreciative of that. It's $6.75 million for the public safety complex, $700,000 for courthouse air handlers, and $1 million for the beaches fire station. We are still awaiting word on the community budget request for the public safety complex. I believe $3 million was included in that budget, and we're just waiting to see if all of this is approved. We'll be up to, what number did I give you, Marty? Will we be up to the 12 million that we, 12 million? That will certainly give us a good head start with that. We'll know more from the design and finish, and other than that, that's all.
What's the final place we gonna put that?
The property located behind the hospital. Out of the what area?
You know, we just talked a little bit about, still, what would it take to get that place out by the airport?
So, Melody, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that where we had originally been discussed is not eligible property, because that is property that's in the FAA stipulated settlement agreement and has to be utilized for economic development. Any other areas, I think would be, Melody, is there any other property, or would that have to be taken out of the airport's name?
It would have to be taken out of the airport's name. And in addition, as you know, we are trying to get funding to go ahead and update the master plan. FAA has indicated they will not fund that until 26-27 funding, which will be next July at the earliest. So we have checked in that to do that updated plan. There's also, I know that that land that you're talking about over there in Carlson Cemetery is an ideal location, but there is that parcel of maybe 4 acres that's across the road from the airport too, that we did have appraised a few years back. Someone was interested in buying it, and they didn't want to pay the appraised value. And we were going to be able to move that out of airport ownership because it was actually across the road and wouldn't impede any airport growth. So
That's next to the roll-off site, right?
A parcel to keep in mind too. I know right now it's a mess because some of the timber debris was put over on that parcel, but that's an option. I think most people don't realize that parcel does exist right there, but that's available too.
But Melody, that's right next to the roll-off site, right?
That's on Carlton, yeah.
No, it's on the other side of Industrial Park Drive.
I gotcha, okay.
Over, you know where the housing addition is? It's in between the housing addition and Puckett Road. Where that, there's some vacant land right there, it's right over in there.
I mean,
I'll send you a map of it tomorrow, Luanda.
Okay.
just thought, that's where all of our resources end up going.
I know.
And it just
I know.
seems to make a lot more sense to have the public safety complex.
I guess we need to, well, and Melody, we don't have any other parcels that are not in the airport's, under the airport's ownership, right? That's at that site?
No, right, correct. And in fact, we actually got that was part of the land settlement.
Right.
Issue that we had.
Right.
Getting that back under the airport. Not anything nailed down tonight, it's just a thought, and like that, just
I know.
one member and just.
I guess my concern would be by the time we go through the process of changing the airport plan, and then the county would have to purchase the property from the airport at appraised value. So I just don't know how long that would delay the construction of the public safety complex by the time we go through all of that. I mean, it may align.
May affect the design phase though.
Well, that's true.
It may affect the design phase based on the location.
Go ahead. We will move on to comments and concerns from the public for non-agenda items. Comments?
Gentlemen, I'd like to encourage each one of you to go to the Florida Rural Economic Development Association Summit meeting in November. It's going to be down in Ocala. And your other counties, surrounding counties, Suwannee County will be well represented. Columbia County will be well represented. Hamilton County will be well represented. So will most of the other 15 counties that are associated with our rural economic development area here. And I can't stress enough what you will learn there from talking to other county commissioners, county managers, and city managers in the area about their successes and failures in economic development. It's just a 3-day conference. It's down in Ocala. And, please put it on your calendar and give strong consideration to it.
November?
Yes.
Anyone else from the public for non-agenda?
Thank you, Commissioners, for allowing me to speak. I came here tonight to talk about, a few months ago, I offered to buy that gazebo on 2nd Street. Because we thought we were going to have insurance, possibly it was going to cover it. But a homeowner in Steinhatchee donated a gazebo. He wants to remain anonymous, so we're going to leave it like that, although some people might know. There are some people in Steinhatchee that want to do things like that to help. And I've been talking to Mr. Newman about how, like the signs, a lot of the signs are bent down. There are capable people in Steinhatchee that can help with things like that. Volunteers that can actually help stand the sign up, okay, who are craftsmen in their own right. So it's something to look at. Just like some years ago, I was with Jack Brown, that's how long ago, volunteer code enforcement. And I was on that, he asked me to look into it, and I did a report for him. You don't get overzealous people on code enforcement, but there are people out there that can point things out that are obviously a violation. And then it goes to the code enforcement officer, and he looks at it. So, we got some growing pains here. We're 8 months past this hurricane. And you've still got things going on. I mean, we've got a lot of things. We're trying to button up with the building requirements. I've noticed so many of the power boxes now elevated. We got over that, part of it. Now people are locating them high up. But we've also got a lot of folks who are in violation of ordinances, like on the right of way. This past weekend, I could have taken you to 15 or 20 RVs that came into town, and instead of renting a place, they parked on county right-of-ways and were staying. Now, it's good for business, okay? But in my neighborhood, we had somebody living in a Winnebago, and it was finally the sheriff's department. They got them out of there because the code enforcement couldn't make them move, okay? But when they found out that they were actually living there, had garden hose running to it. So we've got to start thinking later on, So some of the stuff we've got to reel in. But the volunteer code enforcement, talking to the folks that I did, those 3 or 4 cities, they went out of the way not to get overzealous people. Because you can't have, people that have a problem with somebody and just want to go ahead and bring an issue with code enforcement. But if we keep hearing about how broke we are, which we are, and all that money we're talking about with the grants, thank God we got a governor that loves this county now. We are blessed, and so we're going to get by this, but there is life after disaster. And I thank you very much.
Anyone else for non-agenda items? All right. We'll move on to board information items. Mr. Good.
I want to thank people for coming to here and bringing some good thoughts and ideas. It is your county and your community. You do value your input. And I'm one that will listen. Now, I'll go out of the way to listen. Thank you.
Commissioner Newman? I agree, Mr. Chairman, with Commissioner Dents. I appreciate it. Those take time out of their busy schedules to take part and have some input in meetings. Also, just like to thank folks that had so much effort in our past weekend and great celebration that we had to celebrate Independence Day, and a number of folks that weren't on the county right of ways doing that. We thank them for all those things. Our law enforcement who certainly were tasked with quite a undertaking of first responders like that. So it was encouraging to see the number of folks that were at Rose Head Park and on our coastal communities that happened to be down there. And the celebration was ongoing for quite a while. So it's good to be in a free nation, and certainly we see good things taking place. So we appreciate all those things, and just a great team effort, and just this funding opportunity, and to see how these things are coming together. There's a lot of work and effort by our staff and the partnerships that we have, of course, in cooperation with the board and our state and federal partners. So it's uplifting to see that coming to pass, and we're always thankful to see the appropriated funding coming down from the state as well as the House and Senate. So thank you to each one of those. We're looking for great opportunities.
Fine. I just wanted to inform the board that the audit report was due on June the 30th. We did not receive it, and still haven't received it as of today. So just for information purposes, that you guys know, I do think they're planning on presenting it as a workshop on workshop's Monday, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we do have the workshop Monday morning at 9. Right.
All right, there's nothing else. We'll take a motion to adjourn. Okay. Thank you, all in favor? Thank you.